Well, and good afternoon to a talk with the working class idiot. I'd like to talk to you today about psychedelic drugs. Yes, as you can see, it's rather a bizarre subject to talk about. But I watched a documentary last night. Well, not last night, but yesterday, about the use of LSD and ketamine and MDMA. I've never used them or anything like that, but basically the documentary was about how these drugs can help people with mental illnesses and depression and anxiety and all sorts, and especially post-traumatic stress disorder. Now, a gentleman who's a scientist has been doing a lot of research into this and got permission to use the psychedelic drugs to treat veterans with the psychedelic drugs, when they have found that by scanning the brain, that they have found that people who suffer with post-traumatic stress, part of the brain is enlarged, which controls the fear factor, which can make people act in extraordinary different ways. And one of the guinea pigs was an American veteran who'd done a number of tours in Afghanistan, Iraq, and was suffering horrendous episodes with PTSD. And so they did some trials with him, and basically the trials were remarkable. And he has no longer got PTSD, and he is now doesn't use any medication or anything like that. He's now living in Cambodia and helping the people of Cambodia and stuff like that. So yeah, it's really interesting to see. But I didn't realise that LSD was first invented to help people with mental illness and stuff. But then it became widely used in America during the 60s, the Summer of Love and all that sort of stuff. And of course the Vietnam War was going on at the time. And apparently, whether it's true or not, I don't know, that President Nixon basically went to war on the drug because people weren't volunteering to go and fight in Vietnam due to they were taking copious amounts of this LSD, and yes, they became more aware. Apparently, it's also known as the God drug. Apparently, it does something to the consciousness and opens up the mind to basically the meaning of life and what's really going on, and quite fascinating really when you actually look into it. Again, consciousness. We're basically the only species on the planet that have consciousness, and basically our thoughts, our creativity, our fears and everything like that is all down to our consciousness. And a lot of scientists, a lot of doctors and everything, can't really put their finger on where this consciousness comes from. You know, obviously the brain is a very complex computer, and we only use a third of it apparently, and so consciousness is still a big mystery. But so very interesting, and I like all that sort of stuff. Like, you know, it's always fascinated me, the human mind and what makes people do one thing and do another and stuff like that. So yeah, I find it really interesting. So I do read quite a lot of stuff about that sort of stuff, consciousness, and quantum physics. I don't really understand quantum physics and stuff. I don't pretend I do, but I think I roughly get the principle of it. Yeah, it's such a thing. And I did read once a book called about consciousness called Biocentrism, which is another science which borders along the line of quantum physics, quantum string theory, and stuff like that, which is totally fascinating. Basically, nothing really exists unless you absolutely observe it. So that being the same principle, being basically, if we've all heard it, that if a tree falls down in a wood and there's nobody there to see it, does it make a noise when it falls? Well, we all turn around and say, well, yeah, it must do, because our thought process tells us it does make a sound, you know. But when you really look into what the principle being is, that if you're not observing it, how can you know? So we create our own reality. That's roughly the principle. So nothing actually exists unless your eyes are taking it in. So it's quite a bizarre thing to get your head around. But yeah, it's like when you go to sleep at night. If you don't dream and you just sleep, are you aware that you exist? Well, the answer to that is no, because you wake up in the morning unaware that you've dreamt or anything like that. So the theory being is you don't exist if you can't acknowledge it, which sounds a bit like hocus pocus and witchcraft and all that sort of stuff. But the actual principle, I can sort of see where they're going with it. So it's a fascinating subject, but it is for me, and I'm quite a believer in that sort of thing. And so it's not something that. So if you get to that concept and start to understand it, there's no reason to fear death, because we're consciously creating this environment around us, you know, and our world. We're creators of our own world. Yeah, so something I sort of can understand and go along with, but many people think it's, you know, stuff. You know, it's like religion and stuff like that, the God religion and all this stuff. But to me, God is just the universe and everything in the universe. So yeah, so when the old body clock stops, and what happens to the consciousness? You know, because it can't die, because it's pure energy, and energy can't be created or destroyed, but can be changed from one form into another. So your consciousness, the real you, must go somewhere. Maybe it just fizzles out and goes into the universe and transforms into something else. You know, it's like Alan Watts once said, what if when we die we actually wake up? So that's another interesting quandary to keep you up at night. It's a very interesting, well, I find it interesting anyway, but yeah, so there's loads of things out there, but a lot of people, they just think life is life and you die and that's it, and you rot away and you're food for the worms and stuff, and maybe that's true, but I'd like to think it's something else, there's something more. I don't think we'll be judged by what we do in this life. I really don't. But there you go. That's my sort of concept on who we are and what we are and where we're going and whatever. It's just life, really. It's fascinating, isn't it? I think so. But yeah, good old Tom again. Is he over 20 some odd million now? 25 something? But it's all coming about now, isn't it? Like, all that money, and not every single penny is going to go to the NHS, because the people who are obviously controlling it all will be taking their admin fees and stuff like this. People are up in arms about it. There's a bit of a thing going on now at the moment about old Rees-Mogg and the because apparently he's a shareholder in this, who owns the arena where the Nightingale Hospital is. So they're charging the government something like 2 million a month or something to renting it off them. So apparently he contacted all the shareholders and basically said, get in there boys, get some, this is a chance to make obscene amounts of money. And then everybody's putting all over Facebook, jumping up in the air about it and stuff like that. But the point of fact is, if you didn't think these people were going to fucking do that, then you're fucking deluded, as far as I can see. Because they'll always do it. It's always been that way, and people, it's like the war, isn't it? That's why they wanted there was more millionaires made during the First World War than ever, because people were buying armaments and in brass and copper and stuff like that, investing in gold, so for every shell that was fired, another one had to be made. So these people were making extortionate amounts of money on people's misery, on death and destruction. So it's not a new thing, and it just is, and it just shows us what an obscene species we really are, I suppose. Somebody will always profit off somebody's misery. It'll always be that way. So again, that's why I don't donate to charities, because I don't want to put fucking money in some arsehole's pocket, because you donate £10 to fucking children in need, and about 60 pence gets to them. The rest all goes in admin and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, poor old Tom, he did all that at 99, all that money raised, and I expect when you work it all out and everything like that 25 million then going to go to the NHS. Only a percentage will go, but there you go. So pretty shit really, isn't it? But hey ho. So don't beat yourself up about it, and don't give yourself a fucking heart attack. And your blood, it boils your piss, I know. It used to boil mine. But when you start to realise the nature of the beast, you just let it go and think, oh well, that's it. As long as they're not ripping, taking it out of my fucking pocket, then and I can still put food on the table and stuff and get through life the best way I can, then so be it. But if you want to champion the cause, but you're only going to be lying in the rich man's pocket. So I don't really just want to put a lot of faith in all that sort of crap. But yeah, it's like all the PPE disaster and all that. You can bet your life that there's people out there that's loving this. Be interesting to see what their profit margins are like now. Getting all this in. So they ain't going to give it away for fuck all, are they? And if you think they do, then you're a bigger fool than you think. But yeah, that's it really. So I had a lovely lunch, the sun shining. I had roast chicken today, it was rather nice. Tried a little bit different with the old roast potatoes. Put a bit of brown sugar on in the mix, with a bit of salt, bit of pepper, bit of onion salt, bit of oil, mixed it up, coated the potatoes it was really nice, to be fair. So I thoroughly enjoyed that. So yeah, I hope you're having a lovely afternoon, whatever you're doing. Sat in the garden maybe, having a glass of wine or a beer or a cider, whatever your tipple is. You're enjoying it, but yeah, so don't lose too much sleep about all the assholes that are fucking everything up, because they'll continue to fuck it up. and they'll always do it. But yeah, so hey ho, as I say. So it's been great talking again. Loved it. So yeah, take care. Stay safe. Don't let the bastards grind you down, because they'll try. And I'll speak to you tomorrow. Love you loads. And stay safe, peeps. Okay? Bye.